We talk about peace like it's some sort of far off destination. Like once the house is paid off or we finally quit the 9 to 5, then we'll feel it. But peace doesn't show up because life slows down. Peace shows up when you build a life that protects it. In a lot of my videos, I like to talk about the myth of stuff, the myth that we've bought in life or that I've bought in life. And here is what I feel is the myth of peace. People, myself included, for a very long time, assume that peace is tied with income or maybe even job titles, fewer problems, a larger bank account. People assume that peace is attributed to some monetary value. But from my experience, higher earners are often the most anxious because once you start to climb the corporate ladder, once you start to get a higher job title, you get more responsibilities, and in that sense, you work longer hours and you're never off. I once applied to be a manager at a company and then I realized how many hours it actually would be. Not wanting to take any time away from my personal hobbies, of course, I decided not to proceed with that position. But peace isn't just about life being easy. It is going to be about the system that you build being able to handle the load. Because the lie or the myth that once you arrive, you'll feel calm is completely wrong, because arriving somewhere doesn't bring calm. Having $1 million doesn't bring calm. Having a higher paying job doesn't bring calm. The structure around it that you have in place in your life does. And here's why I used to feel constantly drained, and you may relate to this as well. When you have too many inputs and no filters, you feel drained. This could be text, Zoom messages, Teams messages, emails, news, YouTube, all at once. I have a bad habit, and I still have this bad habit of watching true crime videos on YouTube while I am working. It is very distracting. It is very entertaining, but very distracting. And a lot of times it takes away my mental capacity from doing the task at hand as well as I possibly could, because I am then focusing on something that is completely irrelevant to the task at hand. Another thing that makes you feel constantly drained is also having no boundaries around focus. If your calendar is open game for anyone, if you have no structure, no time blocking, and that you're just doing whatever comes to your mind in the day, you're going to be thinking about so many things at once that you have no choice but to feel overwhelmed, because you don't have anything written down, you don't have any sort of structure, and your calendar can be filled by anything. It's going to cause you to feel drained. Overcommitting is also a big way that I used to feel drained in the past. Saying yes out of guilt because you didn't want someone to feel bad. Putting too much on your to-do list because you think you need everything done in 24 hours. Newsflash, you don't. I think that there's always time for the most important things, but there's no way that you can get everything done every single day. I have actually started using this process where I focus on 3 top priorities for the day, whether that's recording videos, editing videos, and making thumbnails, and the lower priority items I spread out over multiple days. Something like cleaning out the garage, I will do 15 minutes here, 15 minutes there, but it's not such a priority unless it's a Sunday afternoon where I feel like I have to get it all done all at once. But being in reactive mode 24/7, this is one of the ways that makes me feel the most strained in my job life. Will destroy your peace because of the urgency addiction that you have to respond to everything right away. I recently read this book called The 4-Hour Workweek, which talked about only checking your emails at certain points throughout the day and not letting yourself be distracted constantly by incoming messages. So I implemented that in my own life without informing my employer, of course, that I not only check my email at 8 a.m., at noon, and at 4. And anything that comes in those in-between times can be handled at those 3 time blocking intervals. Anything I check at 8 a.m. is probably things that were sent to me late the day before that was outside of my working times. When I check my email at 12, I catch everything from the morning traffic of people getting on at 8 a.m. and sending requests, and everything at 4 catches the people who are sending things after lunch. That has allowed me to be more effective with my responses and also more effective in my mental capacity. But as a practical example, how do you start building peace brick by brick? First thing you need to do is audit your inputs. One of the first things I did was silence 90% of all non-essential notifications. Things from YouTube, things from Clash of Clans, things from different games. Those don't need to be interrupting your day-to-day life. What I also did was delete most of my social media accounts, but even on YouTube, I think that you should unsubscribe from accounts that either overstimulate, trigger, or distract you. For me, as unfortunate as it was having to turn off the bell notifications for true crime documentaries. And as well, you should limit your news and digital consumption to set times. Nowadays, I have found a certain peace and not being in the loop with everything that's going on politically or economically, because at the end of the day, if I do what I have said I would do with my money, it's going to be okay regardless. And if there's anything that is absolutely urgent that I need to know, every Monday I ask ChatGPT to give me a summary of important world events so that I have an idea of what's going on. But there's no need for me to spend an hour or 2 each day keeping up to date every single day of what's going on. I think that the immediate information flow that we have today is actually a curse, because it distracts you of what you truly need to be doing in your life. In the days where news took a week or two to get to you, you had no choice but have peace in the middle or anxiety because you didn't know what was going on. So after you audit your inputs, the next thing that you should do is protect the first hour of your day. No phones, no emails, no chaos, because the first hour is the tone setter for your brain. For the past 6 or 7 weeks or so, I've been training myself to get up at 3:45 a.m. and the first thing that I do after spending 15 minutes brushing my teeth, using the bathroom, getting dressed and all that stuff, I come out to this home gym behind me and I work out for 45 minutes. A lot of the times it is hard to wake up from a deep sleep and get downstairs and start lifting weights immediately. A lot of the times I don't feel like it, but having that discipline in the first hour of my day really does set the stage for how the rest of my day goes. For one, it gives me a sense of confidence because I'm building the body that I want. But for two, it also builds a sense of mental toughness that if I'm able to do a workout while I'm tired, I should also be able to edit a video while I'm tired or record a video or do these other different things because I started my day off with discipline. I read a book that I would definitely recommend to you guys called The 5 a.m. Club. This book talks about building the first golden hour as effectively as possible, and it goes through a lot of interesting stories on the way to making that point. And then the third way to start building your piece is to establish hard stop boundaries. Shut down all work by a certain hour. No meetings before a certain hour. Use time blockings for deep work, rest, and creative time, because peace isn't spontaneous, it is scheduled. One of the ways I use this in my life is that I shut off all work by 5 p.m. I try not to work past 4 p.m., but all work, YouTube included, by 5 p.m. And in the middle of the day from 12 to 1, I have a period of time of no work, nothing. It's usually lunch, but of nothing but just consuming, just relaxing or just playing Hogwarts Legacy on my Nintendo Switch, but an hour in the middle of my day where I can just unwind and let my brain relax a little. But from 3:45 up until 1 p.m., I am expecting of myself to be putting in as much effort as possible because I know that I have an hour of reprieve at noon or at 1, and then at 4 I'm shutting it all down. So I'm extra motivated to finish everything by that hour because I'm going to be resting for the rest of the afternoon. This has allowed me to feel less burnt out, to feel more consistent, and also to work with a greater sense of urgency and purpose because I know that I'm not allowing myself to extend my day all the way until 10 p.m. anymore. But as a personal example of this, when I first got started on this YouTube channel, I was trying to get it to 1,000 subscribers. I would work until 10 p.m. or midnight sometimes, trying to get 100 videos uploaded in the first year, commenting on every video I saw, commenting on Instagram accounts to check out my YouTube channel, thinking of certain ideas. I was working so hard, and then it only made sense that at some point, once I reached that goal of 1,000 subscribers and got monetized on the channel, that I didn't want to work that hard anymore. I wasn't building a lifestyle that was sustainable. I was only reaching for an arbitrary number, and once I got there, I had no structure in place to sustain it. And burnout usually doesn't come from your workload. It comes from that lack of structure. So how I fix this and how I'm not able to upload every day without feeling burnt out is that I have deep time blocking sessions to do everything for this channel. On Thursday and Friday from 6:30 to 8, I record videos. I try to record 6 to 7 videos in that 3-hour block on those 2 days. Time blocking, as I said, is probably one of the most effective ways for me to be productive because I'm able to focus deeply on one topic, but there are plenty of other productive scheduling habits that may work for you. Having 1-hour resets each day also helps me stay productive because, as I said earlier in the video, it really does allow me to reset and recover and not feel mentally drained, and just gives me a little bit of boost to finish out the most important task for the end of the day. Also, as a personal story, I actually just started implementing this week is that I have stopped looking at YouTube analytics because the immediate feedback from that is something that I don't like to see in the early stages of this channel or the early stages of this new niche. And because I don't like seeing those numbers right now, I just don't look at them. But on a weekly basis, so each Monday, I then go back and analyze all the growth that the videos have received over the past week. And doing this weekly instead of daily gives me a greater sense of fulfillment in the numbers. I know it shouldn't really work that way, but I like to see how they look on a weekly basis instead because your growth does seem a little bit bigger once you wait longer periods of time. Eventually, I would like to only start to look at these numbers on a monthly basis. So after a few weeks of looking at it only on Mondays, I may go to bi-weekly, and then I'm going to try to go 1 month without looking at the analytics just to stop trying to get that external validation in order to make videos. As a YouTuber, I want to make YouTube videos, and I want to make videos that I see value in, whether or not they are getting paid a bunch of money for them. So that may be a challenge that I'm going to go on maybe in June or July. I think I may be shooting for June actually, to try to go 1 full month without looking at YouTube analytics. However, let me talk about some things that subtly steal your piece that you may not know that they are. Defaulting to saying yes. Saying yes to everything means saying no to clarity. And it's going to be very important to learn how to disappoint others so that you don't abandon yourself. Having a lot of digital clutter also steals your piece. Too many tabs means too many open loops. Having an overloaded inbox means constant background stress. And lastly, having unclear goals. If everything that you want to do is important, then that means that nothing is. Clarity is calming, Vague goals breed anxiety. So define what a peaceful day looks like and then reverse engineer it in order to put it into your schedule right now. So as a final message for this video, I want to say that peace is a build and not a break. People spend years chasing peace like it's some sort of reward, but peace isn't earned. It's built. And most of the time, it's not a big decision. It is going to be a small and boring and seemingly insignificant one, like turning off your phone, protecting your calendar, or closing your laptop at 5 p.m. Peace doesn't come from escape. It comes from systems that hold the chaos in check. If you found any value in this video, please consider subscribing, and I'll see you in the next one.